Love pixel art. I really, really do. It's divisive, nostalgic, it's cute. Can be boring, but it's also exciting. It's vibrant. I also love retro animation styles. The one I'm partial to most is that late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, those styles for anime like Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Memories. By the way, if you had not seen the movie Memories, please go watch it. In fact, if you haven't seen Memories, pause this video, go watch that movie, come back to it. I'll hold. Basically anything out of that late 80s, all of the 90s, early 2000 animation. It holds a special place in my heart. I'm drawn to it. It's so gritty, like the grittiest images from animation I feel comes from those times. It's almost like anime had this grunge phase and I'm still here for it. So when I was diving into Steam looking for something to play, Eastward advertised itself as both a pixel art, pixel style, and this retro Japanese anime with 3D assists. I had to be there, especially coming off Sea of Stars. You know, you sold me once, you're gonna sell me twice. Question is, for a 3-year-old game promising 20 to 30 hours at my rate of play, probably 20 to 40 hours, mess of achievements, and a $25-ish price tag, does this light action, top-down, RPG, dialogue-heavy title tickle your fancy? Is it worth your money and, more importantly, your time? Let's talk about it. Game's description. Welcome to the charming world of Eastward, population declining. Journey through a society on the brink of collapse, discover delightful towns, strange creatures, and even stranger people. Wield a trusty frying pan and mystic powers on an adventure into the unknown. Developed by Pixpill and published by Chucklefish. Let's talk about the target audience. This game is going to be for people who like story-rich titles, adventure titles, RPG obviously, anything with pixel graphics. It's a dialogue heavy game, so if you're okay with a lot of speech bubbles, you're gonna be okay with Eastward. This is not for players and gamers who primarily are into, let's call it shooters, massively multiplayer games, sports games, and if you hate reading, if you're not a reader, you're not into storytelling and kind of long drawn out or focus on plot development, you're not gonna love this game. Let's talk about the art style. As previously said, it's inspired by 90s Japanese animation. Eastward has been brought to life using this combination of 3D graphics, 3D lighting systems. It's also heavily focused on like pixel artwork, pixel art. It's a self-described retro style. And you can see in the footage, I mean, it is beautiful. Like the game itself is so well drawn and animated. It's very, very nice to look at. Pixpill actually started in around 2015. It had an extremely small team. They developed the game using their own engine, and the whole thing is built around pixel art, pixel designs. It just draws you in. Let's talk about the combat. First off, it's roguelike, so you can think of it in some ways like Borderlands, where you'll explore an area, you'll fight some enemies. If you leave that area and come back, often those enemies will come back and be spawned there again. As the John character, one of the two main characters, you get a slew of weapons. You get a couple of guns, a flamethrower. As the other main character, Sam, she has actual abilities, you know, self-healing. She can hold enemies into place. I wouldn't call it magic, it's more like telekinetic type stuff. You can purchase upgrades throughout. The currency in the game is salt. Combat's fast. It can be challenging the further you get into it. Enemies tend to overrun you versus overpower you. I'd say boss fights are easy-ish for gamers. If you're not a gamer, it is going to be challenging. You also get bombs, like straight out of Bomberman. So you can collect bombs and use them to open new routes on the maps, relatively linear maps, to find secret areas. You can actually set to drop bombs and hit them with your frying pan to send them further, you know, over gaps or for enemies further away. Early game, you can kind of run and gun, but once you hit about chapter 4, chapter 5, you do have to be a little bit more strategic, but you do have a cool mechanic where you can swap between the two main characters quickly. So for example, Sam, she has those telekinetic powers. You could freeze enemies into place. So you can switch to Sam, freeze an enemy into place, switch back to John, strike him down with the frying pan, do some combos that way, or drop a bomb, use John to drop a bomb, switch to Sam, freeze everyone in place so the bomb has some AoE effect. Let's talk about the core mechanics. Eastward focuses on action RPG gameplay. You're combining combat. There is some puzzle solving. It's a lot of exploration. The maps aren't crazy big, but There is some exploration. It's one of those games where they kind of show you secret areas on the map. I mean, you still have to figure out how to access them, but you said, hey, the objective's this way, but what is this little gap or this little area over here? It's like very suggestive that you should go explore that. If you're looking for secrets or hidden treasures, it's relatively easy to find because the map shows you where to go. But once you get there, it's often met with a series of puzzles that you do have to solve. You're going to make use of two characters, John and Sam. They each have different abilities. As we mentioned, John is more of an offensive skilled person. He's got the bombs, he's got the guns, he's got the frying pans. Sam is more of a support, so healing, stun, freezing. You know, if it's a dark area, sometimes you'll find these little mushrooms. She can light those mushrooms up with her energy and it becomes like a little lantern for the area. And you'll have to use both of their skills and size to solve certain puzzles. You know, you can initiate an action where you actually separate, because during most of the game, you're going to be following each other around. So the NPC version, the character you don't have access, will just follow you as you control the main character, but you can press a button and it leaves that person there. So you have a lot of these like floor switches. So you drop someone on that floor switch, you know, while you take the other character and go do something else. And that floor switch might hold a door open, for example. You have to make progress separately with each character to come to the same ending. The game itself is divided into chapters, a lot of storytelling. I wouldn't even say combat's the focus. The storytelling is definitely the focus in my experience. In my opinion, the combat is kind of a secondary thing to that. You can fast travel around locations as well. So once you do, you are rewarded for exploring by unlocking additional fast travel locations. There's also a train system within the game. Won't reveal too much what that's all about, but you can access these trains to get from, or trolleys almost, to get from location to location. Tons of NPCs to talk and interact and do questing with. This is a title where you have to go to specific save points in order to save. In Eastward, they just happen to be specialized refrigerators. And cooking is a huge part of the game. So you're going to be collecting ingredients. You're going to cook up all kinds of combinations. The cooking animations, it's actually pretty cute. And the different combinations of these foods will actually give you different recipes, which have different effects. Some restore health, some grant health plus temporary hearts, some grant energy boosts, or they'll buff you for a certain time duration. There's also like a little arcade game that you can play called Earthborn, where you can discover tokens or collect little tokens and then collect figurines, which you could plug into this arcade type game that gives you characters within the game. It's a game within a game that you can play inside the game. That made sense, right? You guys caught that? Let's talk about the story. So Eastward is this extremely beautiful and well illustrated game set in a sad place. So it's a decaying world. It kind of feels post-apocalyptic. Society's starting to break down. You're playing as the main character, John, connects with a younger mysterious girl named Sam. It's kind of like Last of Us vibes. You're going to explore weird and dangerous cities. There's all types of different monsters. Basically, humanity is on the brink of destruction by a toxic plague called miasma. On screen, it's basically like a black shadow that covers the screen at certain parts, and you can't really get away from it. You can't really combat it. The miasma is affecting everything. The towns are being destroyed. It's mutating the environment around you. And it's those two characters exploring the world, solving mysteries, dealing with their past, and how they interact with all these different NPCs and monsters and storylines. Let's talk about the content. The game boasts 20 to 30 hours, but at my pace, 20 to 40 hours seems a lot more accurate. This is not going to be a one-shot game for streamers or creators. It's a heavy game. There's a ton of dialogue. I cannot emphasize that enough. There's a lot of dialogue and scene setting. They even included a fast forward option in the game. So they know there's a lot of dialogue, at least on a controller. Hold one of the bumpers. It'll play all the dialogue and go through those speech bubbles at a much faster pace to get you through that dialogue if you're a faster reader or if you don't want to hear it at all. There's about 30 achievements for you achievement hunters out there. And if you like stories, if you like story development, if you like a slow burn of an RPG and you like reading, you're going to like it. It's a long game because of that. Let's talk about the QA. Currently, I did not have any issues, no issues. It's smooth. It can probably run on just about anything because of the art style. I'm playing on PC with an Xbox controller per the recommendation of the developers. The only weird thing that streamers or creators might notice, if you minimize or tab to a different screen, it is going to shrink the game image in resolution instead of staying full screen. Not sure how to fix that. It's probably a setting on my end, but the windowed full screen option still doesn't allow me to run my cursor across. And I have this game on Steam, not Game Pass or anything. Just something to note if you're trying to make content out of it. Not a big deal unless you want to switch windows a lot. So Eastward has a specific audience This is not going to be a title for mass appeal. 25 to 30 bucks. If you're going to spend that kind of cash on it, you better be certain you're going to like it before you buy it, because I can see people going, oh, this looks cool, buying it, and then in an hour in going, I don't know, it's a little slow for me. Watch some gameplay footage, do your research, but if you know, like, hey, this is totally up my alley, the art style, yes, heavy dialogue, not a problem, kind of that top-down linear map combat. If you all like those things, then it's going to be worth it for you. But if you're kind of unsure on the edge, I would wait for like that $15 range, 15 to 20 buck range. Let it come down a little bit first before trying it out. This is not a game where you just, hey, I just want to try it out and I'm okay to spend the extra cash. If you're a fan of beautiful games, it's a safe choice. You get plenty of hours. Get a mix of action and story. If you want more action than story, Eastward might not be the best pick for you. It's a unique game. I wouldn't call it like a must-have for your shelf, maybe not at that price point. Extremely high quality, but for me, pacing was a little bit of an issue. If you're patient, you will reap the rewards. That's it for me, folks. Thank you guys for your time. Thanks for hanging out once again and sticking around for another video, another game review. You can find me at Ghost Stories Gaming or Ghost Plays Games on all things social. As far as the streaming schedule, we are multi-streaming on YouTube and Twitch, so we have a couple of options there. If you want to catch some live streams, make sure to check out the Midnight Release podcast, where we have unfiltered conversations with creators from all different creative spaces, gaming, lifestyle, you name it, it's on there. That can be found on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And I will catch you guys on the next review. Peace.